It is always great to talk with ESPN analyst, the coach, Seth Greenberg, joining us to break down some of the Big East NBA draft prospects. And, Coach, let's start right at the top. When you talk about the players from the league that are heading to the association, Villanova's Saddiq Bey looking like a potential top 15, for sure, a top 20 pick in this NBA draft. What do you like about his skill set?
First of all, he's a winning player, and I think that's undervalued when you're trying to evaluate players. Like in the NBA, you've got to have a culture. You've got to have an identity. You've also got to have a good locker room. And you've got to have guys in that locker room that get it and play to win. The NBA is a different league because, in college, your role might be different than it is in the NBA. The NBA is a league of role players. And can you embrace that role? Could be the best version of yourself. Can you add to winning? And Saddiq Bey, that's what he does. He shoots 45% from three-point line. Yes, he's got a 7-foot wingspan. Yes, he's got a toughness. But he also understands what it takes to win. He can defend multiple positions. He's a good enough passer. He's physically, mentally, emotionally tough. He's got a maturity about him. And if you look at the Villanova guys as they transition into the NBA, all right, they're NBA ready. They're NBA ready because they understand how to play winning basketball. They're NBA ready because they're fundamentally sound. They're NBA ready because defensively, all right, they have a system in place that they understand coverages. They understand instinct. Saddiq Bey, to me, is a no-brainer. He's a can't-miss NBA player. He's a guy that should be a lottery pick. I'd have him in the top 10. If you want to build a winning culture, if you want to win games, you need the Saddiq Beys on your team. That's just the way it is. And you can look at his numbers, and that's great. You can look at his analytics, that's great. Look what they've done with him in the Villanova program. So I think he's a terrific prospect.
Seth, it's becoming more and more difficult in the sport of college basketball to be able to retain players, nor alone retain them and say, you will both win in college and it's a win for you. Jay Wright has been able to do that. How?
Yes, we did that because they developed players. Saddiq Bey wasn't a highly recruited player. You've got to remember, he was originally supposed to go to NC State and ended up at Villanova with the coaching change. Saddiq Bey was a good prospect, but the thing about Jay's program, and I'm not sure if you've been in practices at all, it's almost like a throwback practice in that he's not a good teacher, he's a great teacher. And you know what everyone says, back to the fundamentals, they never leave the fundamentals. Those guys understand. You talk about jump, stop, pivot, ball fake pass, get a piece of the paint, be on balance, be shot ready, talk early defensively, be alert off the basketball. I mean, each and every day, those guys get better because of how they're coached. Those guys get better because their culture is so strong that they play for those who play before them. I know it sounds like a great line that they use in recruiting, but it really is a reality. It reminds me a little bit when I was at Miami as an assistant coach, Miami football, the peer pressure of playing hard and being tough and being a winning player. The expectation for those Miami players was there was so much pressure on them, the peer pressure. Well, Villanova's got to the point now, the peer pressure from those who played before. And then you look at those who played before and you see, why is Josh Hart being successful? Why is Mikal Bridges being successful? Why is Jalen Brunson being successful? Why is Marciniakono being successful? Why? Because they're winning players. Why? Because they transition to the next level and they know the hows and whys. Why? Because they're great in the locker room. Why? Because they communicate defensively. So Saddiq Bey, physically, more than good enough to be an outstanding player in the NBA. Size, length, positional length, positional size, skill set, toughness, and he comes from a great culture.
He will be the 7th Villanova player to get drafted in just the last 4 years.